I'm Minnie. I'm standing in the middle of the opulent dining room at the Pinewood Country Club, the air thick with tension and unspoken words. My family sits around the table, their faces a mix of shock, anger, and desperation. The silence is deafening, broken only by the heavy breathing of my father, Mr. Thompson, as he stares at the stack of papers in front of him, his hands trembling. It all started when my phone buzzed on a random Wednesday afternoon. I looked down at the screen and saw a name I hadn't seen in 9 months, my father. The message was short: family dinner tonight. Big news about the business. Don't be late. For the past 9 months, my phone had been a silent tomb. No birthday wishes, no casual check-ins, nothing. It was as if I didn't exist to them. But earlier that day, a business magazine had featured my face on its cover, alongside a headline about my tech startup and a staggering $100 million valuation. It wasn't a coincidence. They saw the money, not me. I remembered the countless times they had ignored me. When I was 12, I won a national coding competition. I was so excited to share the news with my family. I came home, full of pride, only to find them engrossed in my younger brother Ethan's soccer game highlights. We're busy, Minnie. Maybe later, my mother, Mrs. Thompson, had said, not even looking up. I stood there, my heart shattering, as they cheered for Ethan. When I graduated from college with top honors, they left the ceremony early because my uncle, Mr. Harris, was bored. I watched their car drive away, feeling like an outsider in my own family. And when I started my first company, I asked my father for a small loan of $8,000 to buy some equipment. He scoffed at me, saying, "Business is for men. You should focus on finding a husband." Meanwhile, he had no problem giving Ethan $50,000 to start his failed coffee shop. But this time, I wasn't going to be the naive daughter they thought I was. I stood in front of my mirror, choosing what to wear. I could have dressed in my designer suits, flaunting my wealth. But I knew that would put them on guard. I needed them to see the old Minnie, the one they underestimated. So I put on a simple pair of black jeans, an old gray sweatshirt, and a pair of worn-out sneakers. I tied my hair back in a messy ponytail and put on no makeup. I looked like the struggling girl they remembered. I drove my old 2015 sedan to the country club. The guard at the gate looked at my car with disdain. "Delivery is at the back," he said rudely. I rolled down the window and said, "I'm here for the Thompson dinner. My name is Minnie Thompson." He checked his list, frowned, and waved me through. As I drove up the long driveway, I could feel the old anxiety creeping back. My stomach knotted, and my hands tightened on the steering wheel. But I took a deep breath and reminded myself, I'm the CEO of a successful company. I'm not that girl anymore. When I walked into the dining room, the performance began. My mother shrieked, "There she is!" and rushed over to give me a suffocating hug. It was all for show, a performance for the non-existent audience. My father stood up, his large frame imposing. He extended his hand, trying to squeeze mine to show his dominance. I squeezed back just as hard, and he looked surprised for a moment. We sat down, and the champagne was poured. My father raised his glass and said, "To family and success." Everyone echoed, but I just watched them, not taking a sip. They talked about themselves, Ethan's latest social media project, my mother's new shopping spree, and my father's golf game. They were buttering me up, softening me for the pitch. Finally, I decided to cut to the chase. I put down my fork and said, "The text said you had important news about an expansion." The air in the room changed instantly. My father cleared his throat and pulled out a thick folder. He slid it across the table to me. The cover read, "The Thompson Resort, a New Era." He started to explain, "The hotel business has been the family's pride for 35 years, but the market is changing. We're going to tear down the old hotel and build a luxury resort. It's a guaranteed success." I looked at the numbers in the folder. "This is a huge project. Construction alone will cost $16 million, I said calmly. Actually, it's $19 million to do it right, my father corrected. I asked about the financing, and he said, we have the main investors lined up, but the bank wants us to show some upfront capital. A bridge loan. We thought you could be a part of this, Minnie. I looked at him and asked, how much? He locked eyes with me and said, $1,800,000. The room went silent. I repeated the amount slowly, $1,800,000. My father quickly added, it's a loan with 7% interest. We'll pay you back in 2 years. It's a great investment. My mother chimed in, this is our legacy, Minnie. You should be a part of it. But I had done my research. I reached into my bag and pulled out a tablet. I said, I did a little digging before I came here. According to the public records, the bank, First City Bank, filed a notice of default against the hotel 4 months ago. And the occupancy rate has been below 35% for the past 2 years. You're not expanding, you're trying to save a sinking ship. My father's face turned red. That's a misunderstanding. We're sorting it out, he stammered. I continued, you took out a second mortgage from a predatory lender in New York 3 years ago. You used the equity to pay for executive bonuses and new cars. Now, you're in debt, and you want me to bail you out. The mask fell off. My father slammed his hand on the table and shouted, how dare you investigate your own family? We raised you. You owe us. I stood up, my legs shaking a little, but my voice firm. I owe you nothing. You ignored me for 9 months. You missed every important moment of my life. But as soon as you saw the money, you remembered I existed. Just then, my CFO, Lily, walked in with a stack of legal documents. I said, I didn't come here to give you a loan. I'm here to buy the business. My family stared at me in disbelief. I explained, I bought your debt from the New York lender yesterday and the bank debt this afternoon. I own everything, the hotel, the country club membership, and the lake house. My father slumped back in his chair, defeated. My mother started to cry, why are you doing this, Minnie? We're family. I looked at her and said, family is supposed to support each other. You never supported me. You only saw me as a source of money when you needed it. I laid out the terms. I'm taking over the Thompson Hospitality Group. The board is dissolved, and the executive positions are terminated. Ethan, you're fired. Dad, you're retired. There's a severance package of $250,000 on the table. Take it, and you walk away clean. My family was in shock. Ethan protested, you can't do this. I need my car. I replied, the car is a company asset. You need to return the keys. My mother pleaded, what about the house? Where will we live? I said, the house is collateral on the bank loan. You have 30 days to vacate. Use the severance to find a rental. Uncle Harris, who had been silent, stood up and slurred, you're a heartless monster. Family should stick together. I said, loyalty goes both ways. You were loyal to the money, not to me. As they sat there, defeated, I felt a weight lift off my chest. I had finally broken free from their expectations and judgments. I turned my back on them and walked out of the dining room. The door closed behind me with a final thud, like the closing of a chapter in my life. I walked through the lobby, and the people there didn't know who I was. They saw a girl in old clothes, but I knew I was the one in control. I walked out into the night air, feeling the cool breeze on my face. I looked up at the stars and realized that I was finally free. I got into my old sedan and drove away, leaving behind a family built on lies and moving towards a future of my own making.